special people in my life are here to support me. Thank you so much for making time out for me and coming here today. It's a very special day for me today because I'm going to be reading a few of my poems for the first time to you guys. I know this poem, School and Beyond. I really doubt there's an explanation necessary to this because everybody knows how attached I am to my alma mater, Baldwin Girls High School. And this poem is a dedication to that school, that life, and those people sitting there who helped me grow in Baldwin. That nostalgia that strikes, the memories that fright, those friends, those places, those people that made an impact, those walls, that food, that terror that made us fight back. School was how we started calling it. Alma mater was how we left and walked past it. The journey from young toddlers to gorgeous young ladies, we sailed through it. Living through the sunshine of nursery rhymes and Disney walls, dancing in the rain of all those tough lessons and fights that surprised us all. Fighting makes a relationship grow. Separation at times brings in the glow. New Jersey or LA, we had friends fly always. The bond that kept us tight played the game. Different colored shirts, different supports. That one march past at the last sure united us. An old friend, a new class. Who knew strange things made a trip last? The field, the classroom were no bigger than stadiums to play in. The most competitive spirits and people to believe in. Teachers are friends you're hesitant to make, but the ones that guide you all the way through. They shout, smile, or just teach. Each face makes a lesson for you to carry in the land of white and blue. 4, and you ran a rat's race, meeting everybody new, yet clinging on to just a few. A class of 60, yet in the end, you're accompanied by 16, by just 6 friends to stand true. Crazy, mental, girly, you're now used to it all, irritated and annoyed by the sound of that. Seems like a knoll. You leave it and crave for it. That innocence, that childishness, they call it immaturity. It's just you longing for that drum that is reminiscent of school in you. Orange juice, charades, crazy ball and whatnot, playing tricks or throwing chalk around in class. Pavaltri was how it sounded when we heard of it first, to realize that it meant poultry that made us pass. Short, tall, cute, you've seen a set of them all. But the noisy they all are makes it equally an alarm. Entertainment of absolutely any sort, an ad, a rap song, it's all ready for you. All you have to do is get the bulletin board ready. Christmas was a lit up path. Jesus was being welcomed and we had a tart. Santa, chocolates, hearty farewell. December, the store of it all. A season of bliss, tears, and reverence too. 12 years. Wow, that was a lot. To make 11 attachments with the success of 2 badges, yet the biggest badge, labels, and a sash that became a dream, turning to be a failure out of which you never moved. Standing again at an end, yet holding strong to the values we've dug deep all along. Academics bound with virtue, we proudly had wisdom too. We knew it wasn't goodbye, it was the beginning to our roller coaster ride. No teachers, no rules, no guidelines to follow and stand true. The test was to soar high, with each other to hold and be by. Loyalty we had, service we paid, yet left with 2 questions that gave us more room to sway. Did we do it all right? Did we live worth the time? Teenage youth that we've lived, the poem is titled Teens. 19, the last of your teens, and enter tantrums, but maybe not mood swings. An identity was what you were looking for. A mess was what you happened to create of. Hormones jumping onto you. Infatuation was a myth that trapped you. Friends walking away. Relationships making you a game. Fighting through the brutality of the journey. You saw a bed of roses that was made to fool you, honey. Breakups, meaning devastation or the end of your world, probably was just because you treated it like that as if your only spur to live. The only motivation and attention to pull you through. Callous, irresponsible, you broke rules, paid for them with high prices, accompanied with mistakes you didn't do. One hug, one dance, one kiss, you thought you'll get through. But alas, you led a life you never expected to. It's not as sad. The games you played, the water you threw, the colors of happiness and the sexy curves or smiles you spread are sure things that remind people of you. Pictures, selfies today, likes and comments, judge and people say, ah, that's sexy, or well, hot maybe. You're just a friend, or rather a weakness I can take advantage of. An instrument of fun, gay times have filled your life. Silence being magic, gossip and mocking meaning fun. Are you sure you want to move on? Grow out of your teenager and be a woman? Poised, mature, graceful, you'll have to carry it off. And mind you, it's a bag heavier than Zara and Louis Vuitton. Smart, confident, witty not coy, a gorgeous form of humanity that is admired. It's your last year. Be lethargic, play your sport, for in the end, mood swings take on a toll you never forget. The bliss of growing, the agony of aging, mixed feelings that never leave you at peace. Beautiful and wonderful as it sounds, pretty and hard it rebounds. This is another poem that relates to teens, and that's why I'll have to read it. It's called Moods. Those horrendous answers, that miserable behavior, those ugly comebacks, or those valuable asters. Scream and shout, let it all out, to realize that you've peered into the not so pretty side of someone's heart. You don't need to do so. Pretty people, different consequences. You're alone, lost, destroyed, and even dejected. Arriving at no possible conclusion. Are you tolerated, handled, borne, or just ignored? Yet, fight to live and love them while they don't care to understand. When will that day come where either you grow up or perhaps out of it? Or someone comes along with the aspiration to understand it. The person wants to be by and face rain, sunshine and snowfall. Disturbing as a person, horrible as a friend. Are you here to ruin, to spoil or to make ill of it all? Flaunt it or leave it. Grow it or deceive it. Beckon the future, wish and hope for a light. To have a companion, a true friend to realize, but you end up ruining a lot more. Gruesome effects and wandering circumstances. Through the moods, the drama, the swings, them all, you have each one with a screwed up end. While you say you love but technically hurt them all, they have to go for hope to come, else it's your day end and sure to become. A spirit so true in this dark light that maybe you're human and not so much of an alien all the time. Let's call that Sharon to lighten the mood a little.
It's an Elvis Presley song, and it's rather slow It's rather slow, and the lyrics are very simple, so you can sing along. So I hope you guys sing this song. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin? For I can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my whole life, for I can't help falling in love with you. For I can't help falling in love with you. For I can't help falling in love with you.
Never home when I started writing, and when my teacher, Mrs. Bobbin, read it, and she immediately said, "Oh, this is fabulous, I'm going to publish this in the Cotton School magazine." That was my moment of epiphany where I'm like, ma'am, you've done this for me. It's called When the Present Becomes a Memory. How strange it is the heart of man. How strange every function. How strange it makes to believe. How strange it makes to feel. How easy it is to change smiles into tears, and how oddly difficult to change the same tears back into smiles again. When one is the reason for your smiles of that moment, the same tends to be the reason for your tears of those memories. When in your own closed world you feel dejected to move on, you scarcely realize what you're facing now is just a piece of heaven in hell's despair. When someone is the reason for your smiles and the memory of your tears, you fail to recognize the value of the person, for you value your tears. An angel may be a blessing from heaven. An angel may be everything you need to feel cared. An angel may be someone who makes you realize and feel nice and smile before he himself cries. Live with no expectations, love with no regrets. Live life as she spins you around her wheel of happiness and sadness. Love isn't just about being in a relationship with another person. It's about uniting your heart and soul to the other person to perfection. Love is not a mere feeling felt when you're trance. It's your heart beating for someone else, taken as a chance. The first part, I had actually written the first part for my brother and my wife's, brother and his wife's wedding. The second part was a little to do with one of my friend's relationships. And the third was for someone very special who isn't there right now, but she was very special. I met you when I was old enough to judge, but never really judged. I wasn't old enough to believe, but I believed. believed in your innocence and in your perseverance, and still never knew that one mere decision would change us both, change us so that we loved. True, we met and never talked, texted and never stopped. Starting it all, we were hesitant enough, carrying it on confident enough, believed in each other, trusted forever. You finished everything as if it were just another thread. You pretended to care, although I knew you never did. You tried to love, but never failed. You tried being the person you never really were. I still haven't told you officially, and not that I'm going to tell you hopefully. That every touch, that every breath, that every sense I feel, it's all right there, yet not anywhere, so close like a magical feel. Life, they say, is a bitch. True that she is. Staying with people, having a ball, then suddenly made to leave it all? It does not make sense, it never did. Hoping against hope to fight through her agony. The dreams we lived crashed by her brutality. The spins of her wheel, turning in all their might, making us face her in all our fright. The happiness we wish to live, packed with sadness, comes to us by her will. We never let go, we never will, clinging on to see the fate of her will. That book would have had every word spelled wrong, no punctuation marks, no grammar whatsoever. Yeah, okay, I shouldn't be saying this. Everybody here calls me a grammar Nazi. I am. I promise I am. But I think it is only Sneha Didi and Prithvish who know how many spelling errors Charming India can make in one poem. Like in one poem. Pallavi Shroff, today the cover you designed isn't being used. Sapna Book House said it's too light. Mean people. No, the publishers, sorry. But I thank you, because had it not been for you, my manuscript wouldn't have taken shape. I don't think I should express anything about my mom and dad, because anything I say will fall short of saying thank you and I love you beyond a measure that even Sneha can imagine. She always says you love me more. No, you truly love her more. We know that. So let's keep it to that. Mama, Papa, Roop Uncle and Bua. Bua is the person I live because, like, literally, when I have fever, if I see my Bua, I'm fine. Like, she's the reason I live. So my Bua, Mama, Papa, Roop Uncle, Pallavi and Prithvish, please come. 1.5 days to print the book. 1.5 days, and they've printed me 1,000 books. So even though Mr. Darshit Shah, the Vice President of Sapna Book House, the publication division Sapna Inc. isn't here, I want to say a very big thank you to him, because 1.5 days, 1,000 books is legitimately impossible, but he made it for me. So this is the official book. And again, Pallavi, I'm sorry, but this is the official book for which I'm sure I asked practically everybody here for suggestions as to which cover do I choose, what do I do, and there was another cover that was more purple, but it's okay, we have my book now. So this is something written yet unwritten, and it will be available over here to buy also at Sapna Book House. You can order it online from Flipkart, Bookada, Sapna Online. Thank you so much. To do, that is thank my Chaju Chaji, because they're no less than family. He's my second father. So thank you Chaju, thank you Chaji. And I think everybody in this room, everywhere, because I'm sure I happen to mean something to you. If I don't, it's fine. You mean something to me. So, thank you so much for coming. And I will read one last poem only because I have written 27 poems in Something Written Yet Unwritten. And the poem I will read now will have the title of each of the poems mentioned in Something Written Yet Unwritten. Culmination of all other aims. A millionaire mind he claimed he had, but all of them thought of him to be nothing but mad. Okay, so I'll stress on the title of each poem so you at least know which one it is. A millionaire mind he claimed he had, but all of them thought him to be nothing but mad. Lost in the wilderness of life, life like a candle, he started to perceive. He saw her girl in her teens and he fell for her, took it as though love's too small a word to woo her. Ideal perfection he claimed she had, and hence emptiness took over that lad. A tale of two beings he then narrated. The people listening found no hope to be honored. Believe, they told him, in your reasons to adore her. And he broke through the glass walls and strode towards her. As he travelled past that memoranda, he thanked and said, God's little gift to me she was. He reached his destination. He had found her. Confidence versus control was his mind fighting for? Brooding over the aspects that told her, bygone stands integrity, my dear. He felt a surge in him to tell her that when the present becomes a memory, he will be happily married to her. Retrospective, that glance, redundancies took their chance. It was a lesson, school and beyond. He was now madly in love with her. Let me take you there, he told her, but her moods had now taken over. Would she then not come, he thought to himself. What will I do in a forlorn disaster? Change, the only constant, led her. As if a dejection to the race, to soar towards the aspect of her life that felt like a reality that came as though it were something written yet unwritten for her to decipher. Thank you so much for being here once again. Every one of you, you've come late, it's fine. But thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me, and I can't express anything that has made me more happy. And for Sneha Didi, who's going to be watching that video, I love you. I don't have any questions to ask about my poems that I read, just in case. Which I'm sure you'll have.
What if they have?
Yes, please ask me anything that you think you want to know about or anything.
Yeah, one thing. How do you manage to write so beautifully?
I doodle. My poems are doodling. I sit in the night and I type it on my phone, and Prithvish gets messages at 4 a.m. saying, I've written 6 poems today, read them all. And he's like, I'm in college. And I'm like, okay. So I've sent poems to Ritika, Simran. I've sent poems to Roop Uncle, and they'll reply after 3 days saying, it was well written, it was fine. So I actually literally doodle my poems. I don't read them till I don't send them to my sister. That's about it. That's how poetry comes about for me.
Actually, honestly, it's a God-given gift.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Thank you. How do I react to criticism?
Have you ever been criticized?
A lot. Why? He knows. Prithvish, how does this sound? Stupid. Prithvish, does it rhyme? No, definitely. My free verse does not rhyme. Prithvish, does it make sense? Yeah, it does make sense, but you have to change all this. And I readily do it. So the biggest criticism I think I've got is from my sister. She keeps telling me I can't understand your poems. Why? Because I use words like discombobulated instead of confused, lackadaisical instead of careless. So yes, I use those words, they sound more sophisticated. So I've taken criticism well. I've written a few. My next book of poems, which is ready to be published soon, has a lot of mundane words.
You should give a dictionary.
Okay, done. So buy the book, I'll sponsor the dictionary.
You should write these words. These words should be there.
They'll be there.
Okay, the question that I want to ask is how do you manage to write so well?
He did ask me that. I told you I write in the night.
I'm asking again, how do you do
Okay.
it?
So, that reminds me. Good.
Shani, I can't.
That's actually a good thing. None of you have put me through such hard situations that all of you have heard stories of. I'm sure I've complained to at least one of you about how someone's troubled me in life, how they've annoyed me, how they've irritated me, how they've, made me cry. I've cried for over days in the van, and I've cried at CMS, and I think Anmol sees me every day. Anmol, this happened today, and she's like, oh my god, again. So I think all of those hard times is what brings it all about for me, because had it not been irritating my mind, I won't write. I can't write when I'm happy. I try very hard to write when I'm happy. I can't. So it is the hard times that have made me write, but I don't write sad poetry. I write intellectual poetry.
So irritation is getting inspired.
Start writing sad poetry.
We have to irritate you each and every single day. Everybody has to irritate you.
So that would come down.
So you get,
There are those set of people who irritate me. Let them do their job.
so the diamond gets more shaped.
Yeah, I guess.
What truly inspires you to write? I have a question.
My first inspirations when it came to poetry were in 11th grade and 12th grade. We had a subject called literature in English, which where I studied 8 poets, and that was the first time that I did poets in detail. So Robert Browning, William Yeats, William Wordsworth, all of them did inspire me. And after that, my teachers. I told you, I took the first poem, like I was very unsure of it. I took it to her and she said it's really good. So I said, why not give my hand more at it? That's why the first book took 3 years to get a set of 27 poems ready. But the second book is already ready with 30 poems. So once it started for me, I think I never stopped, and I still haven't. I penned one down last night. I haven't said that to you. So the thing that actually inspires me is I read and I write and I feel and I write.
Yes. So this is the first time I've come to watching the video. It was nice. Thanks for this experience. And the one part that I noticed across most of the poems it was about meeting people and relationships with others. So you gave a reason as to why you needed people in relationships. So are these the only things that irritate you, or are there other things? And would it be extended to those things like traffic jam, like the day you prepare to go out and it started raining?
Maybe not so much. I not situations that annoy. See, traffic jam and all can annoy you to a certain extent. These people get to you. They eat your brain. So you need to write.
Yes, like an immediate
So
thing
you're
that-
not using your brain while you're writing.
No. See, the thing is with situations that are a day-to-day annoyance in life, they kind of subside very easily because they happen every day. But these situations are like 1 week and boom, that 1 week is horrible. And then there's another week that's happy. So that 1 week that's horrible is so tough to handle with the mundane situations that you need to write about them. Because you know they're a passing phase in life.
Many pressures to that extent.
What mindset are you in when you wrote it? You seem to be a lot inspiring stuff, some things that seem disheartening. What kind of mindset? Were you like extremely filled with all this all excited about this? Or when you said, okay fine, I want to get over all this, that you want to start writing and put it on paper or something, right?
A few of them were, yes, I was crying. My phone doesn't work anymore because of how much I've cried and typed into
I
it.
pity your parents.
Most of my poems are like that, but the rest of them, I think Okay, so I've had a very bad week, and why am I not able to get over it? Okay, I haven't written. Right. I know, I don't think that, oh, you know, this has happened over the week and I need to write about this. No. I write and it comes out, and then I know that, oh, this happened over the week. That's what's been